The newspapers in Florida made an independent review of the ballots in Florida, and it was clear that Bush had won. Very little press was given to it.
It's time for the era of the hanging Chad to end forever.
Any other country that went through this type of situation where the presidency was contested would break out into war.
The House Judiciary Committee today voted in favor of direct popular election of presidents.
I think it's going to take a little while longer to heal.
By vote of 28 to 6, the committee approved the proposed constitutional amendment to do away with the Electoral College.
You could start up in Maine and come down the East Coast, and it was in blue, and the same thing on the West Coast, and while in the middle of the country, for most cases, was red.
It's a celebration of a new era here in Washington, the inauguration of President Bush, our nation's 43rd president of the United States.
There will be times when the Supreme Court justices seem to be running completely off the rails.
There could have been a recount in every state, and there could have been states that were really close.
Put it right in everybody's face.
What could be more anathema to conservative ideology about law than the Supreme Court should just be making judgments about what's necessary outside of what the Constitution says?
What we're talking about is charging justices of the Supreme Court with corruption.
The Supreme Court decision is not the crucial thing.
If they can't push the hole, then they can't vote. You can commit the biggest crime in American history, and all you do is lose your reputation and your job? No.
Senator Bayh has launched a campaign on campuses across the country to enlist student power behind his plan to do away with the Electoral College.
The great struggle is not for current history, because we know where we're at. It's not for ancient history, because that's been written and rewritten 1,000 times. But it's for control of the history of the recent past.
It was a simple pattern, it was a clear pattern, but because it did fall out both ways.
We're not going to take a system that was so flawed that the machines have to be removed and replace it with another system that might have a glitch in it.
President Bush signed a voting reform bill into law today.
We're in the process of changing our election system right now.
Here's a situation where systems are being deployed that may be easily manipulated, and manipulated on a much grander scale than anything that we might have seen in Florida.
We have a universal belief that the people rule, and it's just not true. The people go to the voting booth and they choose the people who will rule.
You told me what you're doing, but you didn't tell me why.
In every election I know of, the man who gets the most votes is the man who is elected, except in the election of President of the United States.
There have been people who've been executed in this country for doing things infinitely less serious than stealing a presidential election. There's nothing more serious than that.